What if you could fall through Saturn's clouds? You probably imagine a rough, bumpy ride through some alien weather, and then a hard landing. But the terrifying truth is, on Saturn, there's no ground to hit. There's no surface to stand on. Instead, you'd begin an endless, one-way journey into a world that seems designed to erase you. A world where the very concept of down stops making sense. This isn't a fall that ends with a thud. It's a fall that ends with you dissolving. You'd be a tiny speck descending into an abyss of crushing pressure and searing heat, seeing things no human was ever meant to see right before being annihilated. This is the story of your final trip into the heart of the ringed giant. Your journey starts 1,000 kilometers above what we think of as Saturn's surface. From this vantage point, the planet is a terrifyingly beautiful canvas of pale yellow and soft gold stretched across a world so vast it could swallow Earth over 760 times. The famous rings aren't solid. They're a glittering, chaotic highway of ice and rock, casting faint, ghostly shadows on the clouds you're about to hit. You are, for all intents and purposes, at the top of an infinite sky. As you start to fall, the first thing you'd notice isn't pressure or heat, it's the cold. A deep, biting cold that steals warmth so efficiently it makes Antarctica feel like a beach vacation. Up here, the temperature can drop to around minus 175 degrees Celsius or minus 280 Fahrenheit. Your suit, even if it's the most advanced piece of tech imaginable, would be screaming in protest, its systems working overtime just to keep you alive. The atmosphere itself is almost entirely hydrogen, about 96.3% of it. The rest is mostly helium, with trace amounts of things that will become very important later: methane, ammonia, and water. You're completely surrounded by the fuel of stars. But this cold, quiet emptiness is a lie. The second thing you notice is the wind. On Earth, a Category 5 hurricane, our most powerful storm, has winds of about 252 kilometers per hour. On Saturn, that's a gentle breeze. Here near the equator, you're instantly caught in winds moving at a staggering 1,800 kilometers per hour. That's not just fast, it's faster than the speed of sound. You wouldn't just feel this wind, you'd become part of it, whipped around the planet in a jet stream so powerful it literally shapes the appearance of the world below. You're not falling straight down. You're being violently carried across the face of a gas giant. Storms bigger than our entire planet, called Great White Spots, can erupt here, churning the atmosphere for months. You're a silent witness to weather on a scale that's fundamentally impossible for a human to wrap their head around. The pressure is still low, around 1 bar, similar to Earth's at sea level. But it's a trick. It's the last moment of calm before you cross the first real threshold. This is where probes like Cassini ended their missions. For you, the journey has just begun. You're now descending into the highest layer of Saturn's clouds, the source of its pale, buttery yellow color. This is the kingdom of ammonia ice. Imagine a world trapped in a permanent blizzard of frozen crystalline ammonia. The weak sunlight from the distant sun is now just a diffuse, eerie glow filtered through this haze. You're about 100 kilometers below the tropopause, a boundary where the atmospheric temperature profile flips. The temperature here is brutal, dropping to around minus 130 degrees Celsius or minus 280 Fahrenheit. Your suit, even if it's the most advanced piece of tech imaginable, would be screaming in protest, its systems working overtime just to keep you alive. The pressure is starting to build, maybe 2 or 3 times what you feel on Earth. It's like being 20 or 30 meters underwater. Uncomfortable, but a hint of the crushing weight to come.
So, what would you see? Not much. The stars and the sun above are gone, completely blocked by the thick, uniform deck of ammonia ice. Below you is just more of the same. You're in a state of sensory deprivation, suspended in a pale, featureless fog, with the only sensations being the relentless wind and the absolute cold. If you could smell anything through your helmet, it would be the sharp, stinging scent of ammonia. like a universe-sized bottle of window cleaner. This isn't just an unlivable environment, it's an actively hostile one. The chemicals are toxic, the temperatures are deadly, and the sheer size of it all is maddening. You're falling through a layer of poison ice hundreds of kilometers thick, with no sense of up or down. The only way out is to keep falling. Leaving the frigid ammonia blizzard far above, you sink deeper. As you fall, the temperature and pressure begin to climb. The biting cold is replaced by something much more sinister, the physical weight of the world you've left behind. You enter the second cloud layer, about 170 kilometers down. Here the chemistry changes, and the temperature has warmed to about minus 70 degrees Celsius. In this zone, ammonium mixes with hydrogen sulfide, forming clouds of a chemical called ammonium hydrosulfide. This stuff is responsible for the brownish orange bands we see in photos of Saturn, and it smells absolutely foul. A lovely combination of rotten eggs and ammonia. The world around you is no longer pale yellow, but a murky brownish red. The sun is a forgotten memory. Its light is now a dim, blood-red twilight. You're entering Saturn's deeper gloom. The pressure keeps climbing. It's now around 10 times the atmospheric pressure on Earth, the equivalent of being 100 meters or over 300 feet deep in the ocean. A military submarine would be groaning under the strain. And still, you fall. Deeper yet, you hit the third and final distinct cloud layer, maybe 270 kilometers from where you started. Here, something familiar appears in a totally alien place: water. The temperature has climbed to 0 degrees Celsius, the freezing point of water, and so you find yourself falling through clouds of water ice and perhaps deeper still, liquid water droplets. This isn't a comfort. The pressure is now immense and growing by the second, and these aren't Earth's fluffy white clouds. They're a dense, oppressive fog hanging in a toxic atmosphere. This is also where Saturn's legendary lightning is born. These bolts can be up to 10,000 times more powerful than any on Earth. One moment you're in a dark, high-pressure fog, the next your entire world is lit up by a flash of light, so violent it defies description. You have now passed through the 3 cloud layers we can see from space. You've gone from a yellow ammonia sky to a brown hydrosulfide gloom to a dark, stormy water world. You are hundreds of kilometers deep. The pressure is crushing, and the sun is gone. From here on out, you're entering the true abyss. You've left the last of the water clouds far behind you. The world is now completely dark, an absolute blackness, pierced only by the occasional superbolt of lightning from the storms raging above. The numbers on your gauges have become horrifying. The temperature soars past the boiling point of water, then past the melting point of lead, then iron. You're falling through a transparent, superheated gas thousands of degrees hot. Your industrial suit would be glowing red, not from friction, but from the sheer heat of the air around you. At the same time, the pressure is escalating insanely. You're no longer measuring it in bars, but in kilobars, thousands times Earth's atmospheric pressure. This is like having a skyscraper balanced on your thumbnail. Under these conditions, the very difference between a gas and a liquid breaks down.
You're entering what's known as a supercritical fluid state. The hydrogen and helium around you are being squeezed so intensely that they have the density of a liquid but still flow like a gas. There's no surface, no splash. You don't hit an ocean. The air around you just gets thicker and thicker and thicker. Imagine falling through air that seamlessly becomes as thick as water, then as thick as molasses, all without any clear boundary. Your fall would slow as the stuff around you becomes incredibly dense, but Saturn's immense gravity keeps pulling you down, deeper into this bizarre, transparent ocean. This is also where a strange weather phenomenon is thought to happen: helium rain. Under the intense pressure, helium condenses into droplets and begins to rain down through the hydrogen, sinking toward the core. You'd be falling through a superheated soup, witnessing a rain made of a noble gas. At this depth, thousands of kilometers into the planet, the pressure is hundreds of thousands of times that of Earth. Any material known to science would have been crushed, melted, and vaporized long ago. But we imagine your point of view continues to sink, passing from the realm of familiar matter into something truly exotic. You're about to enter the heart of the beast. Your descent has now brought you somewhere that makes everything before seem normal. You're roughly halfway to the planet's center, entering Saturn's largest and most mysterious region, an ocean of liquid metallic hydrogen. The pressure here has crossed the threshold of 1 million Earth atmospheres. It's a weight so extreme that it breaks the rules of chemistry. The hydrogen atoms themselves are crushed, their electrons squeezed away from their protons. These electrons are now free to move around, forming a sea of electricity. That is the definition of a metal. Hydrogen, the simplest element, has been forced into a metallic state. You are sinking through a planet-sized ocean of molten metal made of hydrogen. The world around you is no longer transparent. It's a dark, shimmering, opaque liquid, reflecting the intense heat radiating from below. The temperature here is somewhere between 8,000 and 12,000 degrees Celsius, far hotter than the surface of the sun. This ocean of metallic hydrogen is electrically conductive, and because it's swirling and churning from the planet's rotation, it acts as a massive electrical dynamo. This is what generates Saturn's powerful magnetic field. You're now inside the very engine that creates it. Your descent would be incredibly slow by now. Sinking through this dense metallic fluid, you are a foreign object in a sea of liquid metal that's hotter than a star, and under pressure we can barely create in a lab for a microsecond. The very atoms of your hypothetical ride are being torn apart and assimilated. You're not just being destroyed, you're being deconstructed at a subatomic level. You are becoming Saturn. But the journey isn't quite over. There's one final destination: the core. You've reached the final stage. After falling through clouds of ice, a superheated atmosphere, and an ocean of liquid metal, you're approaching the very center of Saturn. The pressure is almost beyond counting, millions of times that of Earth. The temperature peaks at around 20,000 degrees Celsius.
For years, we thought Saturn had a neat, solid core of rock and ice at its center. But recent data from the Cassini spacecraft painted a much stranger, more terrifying picture. Saturn's core isn't a solid ball. It's a fuzzy or diffuse core. Imagine a central region where rock, metal, and exotic ices are all mixed together into a gradient, a slushy, indistinct blend that merges seamlessly with the metallic hydrogen above it. This core might extend out to 60% of the planet's entire radius. So your final moment isn't hitting a surface. It's sinking into an increasingly dense sludge of rock and metal at temperatures that make the sun seem cool. You wouldn't even know where the ocean ended and the core began. It's a slow, final transition into utter oblivion. This core is estimated to have a mass of 9 to 22 times that of the entire planet Earth, all concentrated in this hellish region. This is the final stop. There's nowhere left to fall. The gravity that's been pulling you down is now coming from all directions. The pressure is absolute, the heat is absolute. Here, in the heart of the gas giant, your journey ends. So what is the terrifying truth of hitting Saturn's clouds? It's that the clouds are just the welcome mat. The real terror is that there's nothing to hit. A journey to Saturn is not a fall onto a planet, it's a fall into a planet. It's a descent through heavens of ice and hells of fire, a journey through states of matter that defy our imagination. You start in a frigid, hypersonic wind and end in a furnace hotter than a star, crushed by the weight of a world. The idea of a solid landing is a luxury we take for granted on our small, rocky home. On a gas giant, the universe plays by different rules. The only certainty is the fall itself. An endless descent that ends not with an impact, but with your complete and total absorption into the planet. You become one with the ringed giant, your atoms scattered in its vast, churning heart. And that leaves us with one last chilling question. If you were to fall into a world like this, at what point would you truly cease to exist? Until next time, keep looking up. The universe is full of surprises.